And actually, Michael, if you could
Yep.
send it to Lynn, because I don't want to be messing around right now, because this is the welcome screen.
Got it.
And Lynn, are you there?
I'm here.
When he sends that to you, can you save it out in the presentations folder for me? Lynn, because I don't want to be messing around right now, because this is the welcome screen.
Give me
Got it.
one second,
Lynn?
Janelle. Hold on. I
Are you
have
there?
to, yeah, I
I'm
have
not
to mute
talking.
this.
I'm not talking. When he sends that to you, can you save it out in the?
Okay. I had to mute the YouTube because it was, you know, in the background, I was hearing both things. So, okay, what do you need me to do when Michael sends me this?
Oh, you're recording YouTube already?
Yeah, I mean, I have to get it started before everybody starts to come in. Otherwise, I can't be trying to do both at the same time.
Okay. So what I was saying is Michael is sending you a report from Sarah Eskridge.
Mm-hmm.
If you could please save that in the presentations folder for me.
Okay.
So if I need it, I can grab it real quick and put it up.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good morning, Commissioner Bookland. Good morning, Commissioner Swanson.
Good morning.
Morning, Janelle.
Thank you. I can hear you both loud and clear.
Great.
Good morning, Commissioner Havel.
Good morning, Janelle. How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you. See Commissioner Murphy has joined us. Good morning, Commissioner Murphy.
Good morning, Janelle.
Thank you very much. We hear you and good morning. Good morning, Kathy Lake. I see you're with us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. We hear you. And good morning, Lori Dunn.
Amanda, are you on? This is Paul.
I am on, Paul.
I was just, without getting into any detail, I was just wondering if I can get back to you early next week on the email you sent yesterday.
Yeah, that would be absolutely fine. Thank you, Paul.
Great.
Lori, would you mind doing a sound check with us so I know I can hear you?
You bet. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are a little bit low, so you might want to turn it up a bit.
Turn it up or talk louder. How about this? Is this better?
It is a little better. Thank you.
Okay, I'll lean in a little bit more. Thanks.
Yep. Good morning, Commissioner Foster.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I see Commissioner Wilson joined us. Good morning, Commissioner Wilson.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Eric Rare. Eric Rare, would you mind doing a sound check with us, please?
This is
Okay.
Eric Yellen. I'm here.
Yep. Hi, Eric Jellin. Eric Rare, is that you? Are you on?
I think I am on. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
Eric, I'm just going to put you back on mute. I just wanted to sound check you. Good morning, Commissioner Eskridge. Try that again. Good morning, Commissioner Eskridge. Can you hear us?
Morning, Janelle. I can hear you now.
Thank you.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. It's 8 o'clock. I didn't see Ken or Ezra. Is that correct?
Ezra is just joining us right now.
Oh, okay. Welcome, Ezra.
Commissioner Clark has sent us a note. Some of his travels are delayed, and he may be joining us late in the meeting if he can work that out.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that takes us to the agenda. So we have the call to order. Welcome to all of our guests who may be with us today. Then let's see, we have the virtual meeting guidance. Janelle?
Certainly. Good morning, commissioners, members of the public, and staff. To help us have a smooth meeting, I'm going to review just a few decorum rules for everyone. Number one, please ensure your mic is muted unless you are speaking. Number two, please state your name before speaking. Number three, in general, please have your cameras on if possible if you are speaking. This includes staff. You may turn your camera off if you're experiencing any technological challenges. And as just the last reminder, the public chat has been disabled, but you can still message the host if you need to. So that's all I have. Let's have a fantastic meeting.
Okay, thank you, Janelle. Michael, do you have any announcements?
Yes, I do. One announcement, commissioners. Some of you may have been reading in the news about how a hacker has hacked a water system in the Tampa Bay area in Florida to change dosage to, in effect, poison the water. And that's getting a lot of circulation. And many of you may have heard about this or have had colleagues who have been asking you about this. Given that, I thought it would be timely for our IT manager, Lori Dunn, to join us today during my CED update, just to give you an update on the issue of cybersecurity and what Lori and her team have been doing proactively on this. And it impacts all of us, including commissioners who are a portal and a gateway for hackers into our system. And so I know we have a relatively short agenda today. So I'd like to make sure you're aware that I place it on the agenda during my CED update.
Okay, thank you, Michael. We'll look forward to hearing about that. Welcome for our pre-treatment coordinator, Julie Moss. Marty, you're going to do the introduction?
Yes, good morning, commissioners. I'm really happy to introduce Julie Moss. She has started at the district this week on Monday, was her first day, and she will be taking over for Nada Razai, who was our previous pre-treatment coordinator, and Julie was our new one. And so she'll be obviously working out of the office as we're still prioritizing safety of workers during the pandemic. And she's starting her training now, so she's going through that. So she'll be doing that for the first couple of weeks during the transition. But she's really hit the ground running. She's already been fielding some of our waste acceptance questions, and she's really getting to learn our processes and how things work. So she has a really strong passion for wastewater treatment. So we're really excited for her to be here. And she has a good technical background, and her previous work has done related to assessment of hazardous materials and chemicals. And so she really is, like I said, able to step right in and continuing that high level of customer service that we have with our industrial and hauled waste customers. But I'm really excited for her to actually jump in and continue helping move our industrial pre-treatment program forward, strengthening community partnerships, and definitely working collaboratively with our pollution prevention initiatives. And of course, the top one that comes to mind with our industrial users is the district's PFAS initiative. So she's really ready to jump right into that as well. So she comes to us from New Water in Green Bay. And for the last 8 years, she was part of their environmental regulatory compliance there. And that's where she focused on incineration, air permits, effluent quality, hazardous materials, and that type of characterization. She has degrees in environmental science and policy from UW Green Bay. And she actually has experience in the private sector working at US Oil before she joined New Water in the water utility section. So she definitely is excited to move to Madison from Green Bay. She's in the process of doing that right now. And during the pandemic, she's been spending a lot of her time getting outside, taking walks, gardening, and watching movies and enjoying her cat. She's a big animal lover and loves to volunteer with animals. So in her words, she's really thrilled to be coming to Madison, and she's really looking forward to working at the district and all the great people we have working there. So again, please welcome Julie. And you'll be seeing her name floating around, I'm sure, and hearing from her in the future. So thank you.
Welcome, Julie. We look forward to working with you. Okay, so that takes us to the proclamation honoring Mark Anderson's years of service. Lab.
Do we want to do Allison?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, Kathy, you're going to do the new Saltwise Prevention Coordinator.
Yes. Hello, my name is Kathy Lake. I'm the Pollution Prevention Manager. I am very happy to introduce Allison Madison as the district's newest pollution prevention specialist. She started in June as a limited term employee, and through partnerships and a grant from the Fund for Lake Michigan, we were able to bring her on as a full-time sustainability and development coordinator for Wisconsin Saltwise. Over the past 7 months, she's helped Wisconsin Saltwise leap forward. She already organized the first ever statewide Salt Awareness Week, which occurred in January and was incredibly successful. She's been working with her local legislator to get Salt Awareness Week or month recognized by the state, and already has bipartisan sign-on to that. She has been working to increase participation in the training programs, winter maintenance training programs, and currently is working on a class, an overflow class today with winter maintenance professionals throughout the state, as well as regulators and others. So it's really, Saltwise information is really taking off throughout the state. Allison is originally from Bloomer, Wisconsin, which she likes to tell us is the jump rope capital of the world. She has degrees, including a master's degree in environmental science and soil science from UW-Madison. She was previously a high school teacher and an environmental education teacher. So those skills are really helping us improve and expand Wisconsin Saltwise through skiing, and she even plays the guitar. So we're so happy to have Allison join our team, and we're all really excited to see how Wisconsin Saltwise succeeds with her leadership. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Sorry about that. Welcome, Allison. That's going to be a big job on the Saltwise use. Okay, so now we're going to go to honoring Mark Anderson's years of service to the district.
Yes,
Michael?
thank you, President Hubble. The district is losing one of our most experienced chemists to retirement. Marcus Anderson is retiring after 35 years as a member of the district. And as he said, when he walked in with his resume in 1985, he had no idea that he'd be spending his entire career here, and he has enjoyed every year of it. He has been a pioneer in chemistry and in wastewater chemistry with the use of different types of testing, PCB testing, and administering that type of testing during our lagoon cleanup days in the mid 80s, and our restoration of lagoons, which of course now is our wildlife observation area. He used a specific PCB testing for bacterial degradation of PCBs, and he served on the DNR toxicity and technical advisory committee that laid the groundwork for toxicity testing and regulations around the state. Mark is an expert in toxicity testing, and being an author of that guidance document over the last couple of years, he has given of his time, even with our ecosystem services team, on training them on this type of testing to carry forward his good work. He has been instrumental in pleading the case for quadratic and cubic linear regressions to the DNR, and the DNR accepted the argument and is still implementing that in the laboratory today. He is very visible in the community, promoting and educating students about macroinvertebrates and biological organisms. And he's a long-standing member of the Society of Environmental Toxicology and Chemistry, where they discover new technologies and develop relationships with other members across the country and sharing perspectives with other district members. Mark really embodies the one water ethic. If you know Mark, he's quiet spoken, hardworking, and he understands that water is life, and all the work we do, and through his chemistry work, he is protecting public health and the environment. So, commissioners, I would like for you to join me in congratulating Mark in his well-deserved retirement, and wish him the best in the second half of his life.
Well, congratulations, Mark. It sounds like you've had a very fulfilling career at the district, and best in your retirement. Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Let's see here. Appearances by the public. Do we have anybody that wishes to appear? Okay, I don't hear of anybody. So let's move on to the consent calendar. We have the approval of minutes from the last meeting. Cash statement operating, cash statement capital projects. We have one sewer plan, Birchwood Point South Phase 4 in the city of Madison, and then acceptance of work for the interceptor rehabilitation in 2020. Do we have a motion or any questions on anything before we move on to get a motion? Okay, hearing no questions, we have a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Move approval. This is Commissioner Meyer.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Meyer, second by?
I'll second it, Murphy.
Second by Commissioner Murphy. Okay, motion by Commissioner Meyer, second by Commissioner Murphy to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
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 And any opposed? Okay, none. Motion carries. That takes us to the topic section. First, we have the authorization of increased project costs for the generator control panel upgrades. Eric, you're going to take us through this?
Sure will, Commissioner Hovell. Will my presentation be up there, or do I got to put it up and share my screen?
You need to share your screen, Eric.
Okay. Let's see here.
Ezra, you look like you're on the Titanic about to hit an iceberg.
It seems fitting for the season.
It's cold, Tom. Come on.
Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So good morning, Commissioners. My name is Eric Herrera. I am the Maintenance and Reliability Manager here at the district. I'm happy to be talking to you today about this project. Today I'm going to present on the authorization of increased total project cost for our generator control panel upgrades. I've presented about engines at the district before, but there are some new commissioners, so I just want to give a little overview of the engines we use here at the district. We currently have three engines that are powered by biogas. We have an engine blower. That engine provides aeration to the east side of the treatment plant, which, the older side of the plant. Then we have two engine generators, and those engine generators generate 10,800 kilowatts of power every day. They use about 145,000 cubic feet of biogas each day. And on average, they save the district nearly $1,000 per day each in energy cost. And burning our biogas in our engines produces less greenhouse gas emissions than flaring. So to the core of the project here, our current generator controls, these were installed back in 1991, so they are 30 years old. They are original, the control panels, that is. their relay-based system, which is very old technology. We do use relays in various pieces of electrical equipment out here in the district, but to control an entire engine system and generator system with relays is very old. And there's much better technology out there that we'll talk about today. We also do have some safety concerns with the current control panels. There's high voltage 480 volt wiring in the same panel as these controls. And this is not up to current codes. We've had to put in some of our own little safety modifications in the past to make these panels safe to work in, but this is not up to a current code standard. So just some pictures to show you what we're dealing with here. These are the current engine generator control panels. There are 2 of these. You could tell these probably belong in a museum someday. They're pretty old. A lot of analog gauges, a lot of switches that we use to run the engines. Here's the relays in the control panel. You can see there's probably 100 relays in each of these control panels to control the system. By putting a new PLC system in, which we'll see is you get rid of all these relays. It's a much simpler system. And here's the safety concern. Right above this photo, about the shelf above is where the controls are, or the relay controls are. And if our staff have to go into this cabinet to work on those, there's this high voltage. This is 480 volt wiring in the same panel. This is the wiring that actually connects the generator portion of the engine to our power grid, which supplies power to the plant. The breaker there in the middle with the colored wiring coming in out of it is actually the point. We have to trip that in order to provide power to the plant. So originally, this project scope and the CIP, which we scoped out in 2019, we just wanted to replace the relay-based controls with a PLC that for 3 engines. That would be the blower and the 2 engine generators. And we also wanted to move the high voltage wiring and the breaker out of the engine generator panels to a dedicated panel. So in the original project scope, this is what we'd be going to, a PLC-based system. Touchscreen, new modern technology. We have these all over the plant for all sorts of equipment, our HVAC equipment, other process equipment. Much simpler, much user-friendly. There's much more monitoring we can do. We can send a lot of more data to our SCADA system to monitor and record. So this is basically what our plan was to go to. Then we have I'd like to talk about our revised project scope. First of all, MMSD staff, we've recommended removing the engine blower from the project. The reason being is as part of the liquid process improvements project, the engine blower will probably be being retired in the near future. So the investment in that engine would not be worthwhile. Also, last year we hired Strand consultants to guide us through the process of designing the PLC systems. And they came in and did an evaluation for us on the engine generators. They also recommended replacing all the wiring and sensors to the engines since these are 30 years old and past their useful life. They recommend replacing the engine ignition systems and the governor system. The governor system is what basically controls the air and fuel going into the engine. And they also wanted us, or suggested we replace the air fuel management control panel and valves. During this project, we found out from our air fuel management system supplier, Sulzer, that they're discontinuing our representation in the state of Wisconsin. Then we had a rep in Michigan, I should say. They're discontinuing that rep. We'd have to go through a rep in Louisiana, and they're phasing out these control panels or air fuel management systems we have in place, and will no longer be supporting them in the future. So just as for some reference, the pictures from left to right on the screen, the blue box is our current ignition system. The little green box in the middle there is our, with the the green box on the engine is our governor system. That's what controls the throttle basically on the engine. The panel is the air fuel management system we'd like to replace, and the black item there is the gas, one of the gas valves in the engine that the air fuel management control system controls, which supplies the gas to the engine. So as far as the revised project scope goes, the benefits of this, we'll have better monitoring, control, and diagnostics of the engines, increase reliability with new components. We'll increase gas utilization and efficiency. These will be much more computer-controlled engines, so we can maximize our gas usage. And there'll be flexibility with future engines. These controls can be put on a different style engine in the future if we go to different engines as part of another project. So these costs will not be sunk if we retire these engines in the future. And just a cost comparison of the original business case versus the revised project scope. We're basically about 90,000 per engine in the CIP, and we're looking at about 338,000 for the increase in scope. So as far as recommendations and next steps, we recommend approval of the resolution to increase the total project scope to $677,000. Upon this approval, we will bid this project. Are there any questions?
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Eric?
I just wanted to highlight, commissioners, that there's two things going on with this proposal. One, we're proposing on the one hand to do less work to upgrade 2 engines instead of 3, and then on the other hand, we're asking for more budget authorization to do more work on the 2 that remain in the scope that we're doing. Those costs are obviously significantly more.
Okay, well, the reliability stuff makes sense as long as all the parts can fit. I have a question. So how does this work with the energy master plan that you've been working on? So am I to take it that we're expecting to keep the generators?
I don't think that's been fully decided in the energy master plan yet. There are alternatives they're looking at where the engines would be kept or new engines or different style engines would be added. That's kind of why I mentioned that if we go to a different style engine in the future, these control systems could be put onto those engines.
Okay, I didn't know if you were looking at just sinking the whole idea of generators or not, but that doesn't sound like that would be the case.
I think there's one alternative that looks at. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Eric.
I just think there's one alternative in the energy master plan that they're reviewing that would fully get rid of engines.
Okay, Sarah, you have your hand up?
I do, thank you. Eric, quick question. I'm just wondering how this relates. We keep talking about this topic of reliability-centered maintenance and understanding projects and scopes in advance. Do we think that shift would change this sort of, we might have anticipated this degree of scope change in advance if we were further along on that project? Or just, can you share a little about how this sort of project, as an example, fits into that shift that we're trying to make in terms of ongoing reliability-centered maintenance?
Sure. First of all, if we were further along in our reliability-centered maintenance, we'd be doing more condition assessments of our equipment. That deeper condition assessment might have led us to an increased project scope during the business case to replace some of the sensors and the wiring on the engines. Changing the controls also helps us with the reliability-centered maintenance because it'll give us, there's more data we can analyze with the sensors on the engines and with the PLC system that can lend to some more predictive maintenance of the engines and allow us to do smaller amounts of maintenance on a more routine basis as opposed to doing large catastrophic repairs.
Very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay, Let's see, we had a resolution to approve.
Hey,
Can-
President Hubble, it's Tom Wilson. This seems like this was a good use of Strand. They came in, we had second set of eyes on a project, and they were helpful and helping scope it out. So it seems like it's certainly, if not necessary, certainly well needed. And the other thing is that it looks like we're not borrowing any money for this. We can use, our capital funds to take care of it. So I'd move approval of the resolution as presented and authorize the increase.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Wilson to approve the resolution authorizing the increase. Do we have a second?
So Sarah, I'll second.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Sarah Eskridge. Anybody else have any comments? Huh? Okay, well, I think actually it's probably a wise move, like Tom said, having the second set of eyes, because you get the work done that you originally planned, and the next thing you know, you got to do the other work with the replacement of those sensors and everything, and would wonder why it wasn't done in the first place. Okay, anybody else? Okay, hearing none. We have the motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Eskridge to approve the increase in costs. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That takes
Thank
us, Sarah, you're going to lead off on the Chief Engineer and Director Performance Review process.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner Hubble. Quick update for the commission and for staff and members of the public. Our task force working on CED performance updates has been working diligently. So thanks to Commissioner Meyer and Commissioner Foster for engaging in that process with us over the past couple months. We sent around in advance, and you'll see it in the commission packet, a bit of an updated task force recommended timeline for our process update. The key things to call out for everybody is that we started to distinguish better in this process the review of MMSD as a whole, as an organization, in our role as commissioners, that being our statutory role really is managing the district and the district's performance. And then specifically our role in managing the CED's performance as our employee carrying out management of the district on our behalf. And then also adding a self-evaluation, a review of our performance as a commission, which we've started to talk about in terms of prioritizing, that that's an important thing that we should be doing ongoingly. I think we talked about that a little bit in our priorities for this coming year. So start to articulate those pieces and try to work into the process some review points that I think we've talked about the need for, like reviewing our strategic plan and progress on the strategic plan on a more annual or regular basis, and try to align those dates with times that will help us in our review of both the CED and in preparation for budget and giving staff the direction that they need to evaluate past year performance when they're putting together the budget for the next year and thinking about performance in the year ahead. So at a macro level, those are the pieces that we're trying to put together into a timeline and process that makes more sense to both alleviate some of the duplicative work that was happening in our old process, but also create some new work on areas that we all know we need to have more processes in place to engage with. So we just wanted to provide you with that update. We're going to move quickly on a CED process for our review of the CED's performance this year. You all have already gotten an email from me outreaching for your feedback on that, and we will convene to have a conversation about that in the near future. And then, so we'll have a bit of a truncated process this year, but trying to put ourselves on track to have a well-timed and more comprehensive project or process in 2022. Are there any questions or feedback? And thanks to Commissioner Wilson for providing some feedback in advance. He's on it, guys. He's on top of it, and all you need to catch up. All right. Well, thank you. And reach out to me separately if there's any feedback that you have along the way. We appreciate the ongoing engagement of commissioners and staff and Michael as we make these updates and hopefully put ourselves in a better position to carry out our responsibilities.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Grant or Ezra, do you want anything to add? No?
Thank you,
Okay.
Sarah. Thanks, Michael, and everyone on staff for helping us out with it.
Yep.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
to all. Okay. Let's see, I gotta get back out of that material. That takes us to the CED update. Michael?
Thank you. I said at the beginning, top of the meeting, that we'd be talking about cybersecurity, and I'm going to thank Lori Dunn for joining us. And I want to say, you always think with things like cybersecurity, it can't happen to us. And one of my colleagues out in the Hamden Roads Sanitary District, Ted Hedefin, in one of my regular calls with him, said that they were hacked in November, and every file at their wastewater utility was encrypted, and they were required to pay a ransom of which was about 320 Bitcoin, which is about $6 million. And their system was completely locked for 3 weeks. And luckily they had backup files where they were able to keep the plant operating, but barely. And they hired special consultants to do a forensics report, and they're still digging their way out of it. So these situations are real, they're happening, and the hackers are finding new ways to get into the system. And Lori has really been on the leading edge of this, and I thought she could come in and present where we're at and how we're looking at cybersecurity now and what our approach is. So Lori, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you.
Lori, this is Janelle.
Yeah.
Sorry, my computer is doing something in the background and it is not pulling up your presentation. So if we can have you try to pull it up, please.
You bet. Well, we're going to run it a different way here. It's going into presentation mode. Let's see. Instead of just the plain slide. So we're going to do. Okay. Are you able to see that now?
Yes.
All right. So.
Lori, this is Bill. We're not seeing presenter mode. We're seeing the raw slides, which can work if you advance by hand, of course.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do that because when I go into presenter mode, it's now trying to use my second monitor and I don't really have time to go and fool around with those settings at the moment. So I'm gonna have to kind of punt this way. Sorry about that, but it's just a few slides. I'm Lori Dunn. I'm the Information Systems Manager at the district. We in IT and the larger strategy department are in the process of setting up and testing an organization-wide cybersecurity awareness training, or CAT, as we like to call it for short. This type of training is becoming increasingly more important In the past, the hackers mostly focused on trying to get by security systems that were provided by hardware and software. These tools, which we use at the district, have been developed to a point where they become extremely strong. As a result, many hackers are changing their approach and they're focusing on people instead. They're sneaky and they play upon people's emotions. They tend to leverage people's positive desires to be good at their jobs, to be helpful, or they play on people's fears. Cybersecurity hacks targeting people have become increasing and more sophisticated. These attacks have also increased dramatically over the past year as hackers took advantage of a more disconnected workforce and more work being done outside business firewalls. A very conservative estimate on the increase would be about 300%, but I have seen estimates as high as 600%. One of the most common and effective attacks is to phish employees, and I'm guessing many of you have heard of that before. But the hackers, they phish employees by using an email to unwittingly provide system access using the person they send that email to. The phishes can result in loss of sensitive data, identity theft, illegal access to bank accounts, or even a lockdown of an entire network until a ransom has been paid. Financial losses from the accounts or from the ransoms can be in the tens of millions of dollars. Additionally, because of the ever increasing risk, this type of training as part of a person's job is becoming a good practice at any organization that uses technology that accesses the outside world. So now technology security efforts, including those at the district, are focusing more heavily on people's behavior and raising the awareness of the potential people hacks. The goal or theme of our training is to build awareness that will help district staff become a human firewall with knowledge, behaviors, and habits that help the people to protect district technology, data, and the work of other employees. Building awareness and training staff on better practices actually feels quite urgent these days, and for some of the reasons that Michael already mentioned. Though I think district culture, our culture, one that's highly collaborative and with a lot of people who really care about their work in the plant, I think that we have exceptional potential to be a strong human firewall. An example is that on Tuesday, over 10 people sent me links and information about that water utility hack. They want to be helpful, and we're hoping our program gives them some tools to help them do that. The name of the platform that we've selected is called KnowBe4. We've selected this platform because of the variety and quality of the training materials. While some of this training needs to be structured with follow-up testing to make sure that the information is retained, KnowBe4 also includes material that can be fun while also providing educational information. KnowBe4 is also known for continually updating their material to reflect new security concerns. We plan on formally launching this program in early March at a plant meeting, with an assessment and initial training to take place during that month. Then each month afterwards, for about the next 8 to 10 months, we will continually build base knowledge across all staff. After that, we will customize training needs to the current conditions of technology security. We will also be looking into further training targeted at especially vulnerable staff, like those on the E-team, accounting, HR, and operations. KnowBe4 also includes specific material that could be helpful to those people. So that's it. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Hey, I got a question.
Oh, sure.
Tom, I do too when you're done.
Okay, why don't you go ahead, Tom?
Well, mine's pretty simple. It's probably questions, comments, but it's two of them. One, um, as commissioners and our connection with the district and our emails, we get training everywhere about phishing and scams and things like that. And our system is seems pretty strong at catching some of those and quarantining them, so which you can delete. But Lori, I don't know if we need to have, as part of one of our meetings, some kind of training to make sure that we're not doing something that probably is not proper. And I'm going to give for instance, I'm on a board of a small bank, and they're really concerned about phishing and getting into the system and everything. And they actually just did an exercise, which they do every once in a while, but they just did an exercise where they sent an email, something about locking, your information is locked, will you please press on this button? And they had people in their staff that actually pressed on it, and then it says, please enter your email and password to correct something, and people did it. It's so I don't know if it's something that we need training on, but it might behoove us to think about it, and I'll let you guys think about that because you're way smarter on these things than I am.
We actually did discuss that a little bit, and there is training that would be targeted to people who are on like commissions or boards. And even if your piece that you get into doesn't provide access into our network, I don't know if y'all have seen that it's kind of gone viral now, where somebody there was a meeting where somebody put an overlay of a cat on a person's head. And while it's funny in a viral sense, but it's very disruptive to a productive meeting. And that very well could have been a result of somebody just stealing credentials from a fish. So even on some of the surface level, those things are important. So we can certainly look into the options of providing that training and check out what KnowBe4 has as far as offerings for that.
Thank you. And I know we probably all get that somewhere else in other parts of our life, but it doesn't help to be reminded, even in a short way, And then thing number two, I know this is on YouTube and it's live, so that's why I'm talking not my normal colloquial self, but right. But it's something I think that we should consider, making sure that our customer communities are aware, probably are, but maybe some outreach, Michael, is a way to help them. The first thing I'm going to do when we're done here is, when this is put up on YouTube, I'm going to send it to my utility manager and my public works supervisor and say, you just need to look at this. You're not going to learn much from this other than there's a problem. And if there's some training that comes up, maybe even directing them to some options on training. It might be just good outreach, right? But I think, and I'm sure a lot of those utilities and communities probably already know that this is out there, but it's not bad to be reminded once in a while, hey, something's happened, and we're just reminding you that from the district's perspective, there's some things that maybe you could do to protect us all, starting with yourself. That was my other comment. It seems like we can make an opportunity out of this to forge some outreach and goodwill, rather than hang out in the hope that all of our customers, something doesn't happen to them too, and then we're trying to help them. Thank you, Lori, for the presentation, and Michael for bringing this up. And I'll try not to make our meeting longer than Michael just did by bringing this up.
Okay, thanks, Tom. I had two things. First of all, Ezra, you may have been on the commission when we were at a meeting one day, and they came in and Shirley Fox reported that money was disappearing from an account right before her eyes when she got on to transfer some funds. And I think it turned out to be a Russian hacker. They got about $25,000, I think, or $30,000 of district funds. I don't know if you remember that or if you were on the commission at that point. So we have had that, something similar to this occur. But the other point I wanted to make, or question I had, is so they had targeted a water treatment, and we're putting in higher levels. I don't remember the chemical that would be poisonous, but does that pose any issues if they tried to do that in the Madison area, or would it probably be diluted enough? I'm thinking from our standpoint, from the treatment standpoint, that would anything like that cause too many problems with our treatment process?
We don't have any drinking water engineers on the call, President Hubble.
Right, but they're putting the chemical in the water. It's the same water that's going in the shower, same water that's in the toilets, in the wash machines and everything else. And so the question is, there's that high level of a chemical that gets in through the drinking process that then works its way into the sewer system. Would that cause? Oops, I'm sorry. My point is that they put the chemical in. It's the same water that's in your drinking, the same water that you're using for showers, same water for washing dishes, same water for washing clothes. And then that gets into the sewer system. And does that high level of a chemical pose issues in our treatment process?
Yes, I think that's a good question that when we get off this meeting, we'll check with our operations staff on, because so if we received higher doses of water purification chemicals from the Madison water utility, for example, could that disrupt our wastewater treatment system? I think that's a reasonable question we should answer, and I'll try to get that. I will get that answer, and we'll report at Alan's next operations report on it.
Okay, thanks, Michael. It just was something that occurred to me when I first read about that attack, and if they were to do a kind of target a bunch of wells, and maybe it'd still be diluted enough, I don't know, but okay. Let's see. Anybody else have anything? Eric, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just kind of wanted to address that question. Michael said he'll talk to operations about just some of the things to think about with the concentration they were talking about. Just Madison themselves has many, many wells. So it depends on how big of a hack and concentration they're going to add. But the overall writing question here is what it does to our biological treatment. Because what's that going to do is that's going to affect the aeration treatment process with all of our bugs, and I know it's probably been 4 or 5 months, but I talked about the 15 quadzillion bugs that we have in our plant, and most likely that concentration is going to wipe them out. We'll check on it with those concentrations, but if it's large enough, you basically have to start the whole plant over for a biological process. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Okay, that takes us to the regulatory and legal review. Paul?
Yes, good morning. So not a lot of developments, but a couple of things on the PFAS front. The first meeting of this new PFAS council is going to be February 23rd, so I'll be attending that, and if there's anything of significance, obviously let folks know. Our latest information is that lab certification for PFAS is going to now be sometime the first quarter of this year, although the first quarter is coming to a close here before too long. So, but I think the news is that it should be soon, so that's good. The other stuff is things that you can read on the update. I guess I wanted to just highlight one kind of detail item because it's not quite as self-explanatory. There is a general permit, or GP, that governs certain kinds of municipal projects in wetlands. And it's a way to say that if there is a routine kind of project that affects a very small amount of wetland areas, there can be a general permit. The League and Meg and others had hoped that this permit could be extended to cover sanitary and storm sewer projects. Because of a statutory anomaly, right now there's a general permit that allows certain water utility projects to proceed under the general permit, but not storm sewer and sanitary sewer. So comments went in on that this week, and we'll be following up on that. But the goal is to try and put water and sanitary and storm sewer on the same regulatory track. So we'll be following that. But other than that, I don't have anything. I do have a court hearing coming up at 9 o'clock, so I'm going to sign off. I hope I will not be appearing as a cat at that hearing. But you know, we'll see what we can do. So unless there's any questions, I think I'm going to sign off.
Okay. I don't see any hands up or anybody have any questions. Thank you, Paul. Good luck at your court hearing.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Okay, that takes us to future meeting schedule. That's always posted. So the next meeting's 2 weeks. Anybody? Michael?
Related to that, Commissioner Hovell, I've been working with our team on starting to build in study sessions as directed by the commission. Even though we'll be doing longer study sessions virtually for a while, we can practice the new format from a scheduling and logistics point of view. So when we do go to in-person meetings in the new format of having some meetings virtual, some meetings in person, we're well practiced. So you'll see our schedule start to reflect that.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Okay, future agenda topics. Any other business?
I have some other business.
Okay, Tom?
I move we adjourn.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Wilson to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meyer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody.
Stay safe, everyone.
Thanks,
Everybody
all.
have a good day.
Thank you.